Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradham Hari. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachahari Yamunatira Vanachahari Jayara Madhava Kunjabihari Jayara Madhava Kunjabihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradham Hari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradham Hari. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachahari Yamunatira Vanachahari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Kunjabihari Radha Kunjabihari Radhe Jaya Radha Rasbihari Radha Rasbihari Radhe Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radhe Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe Jaya Radha Gopinata Radha Gopinata Radhe Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Jaya Radha Ramana Radha Ramana Radhe Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Jaya Radha Ramana Radha Ramana Radhe Jaya Radha Radha Kanta Radha Radha Kanta Radhe Jaya Radha Gopal Juhu Radha Gopal Juhu Radhe Jaya Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Jaya Radhe Shyam Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Jaya Jagannath 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 Jaya Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladeva Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Devi Jaya Sudarshan Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotar Satta Shishamachila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotar Satta Shishamachila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Kodi Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Sri Rup Sri Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Sri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Sadhu Goswami Prabhu Ki Prem se ko Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivajari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Sri Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopa Gopi Gopinath Cham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhana Ki Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Sri Mathura Dham Ki Sri Mayapur Dham Ki Sri Jagannathpuri Dham Ki Vrinda Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Ganga Yamuna Devi Ki Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Sri Sri Gonitai Ki Sri Sri Jagannath Baladev Suradevi Surasan Chakraju Ki Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nastapaye Savadeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Ete Cham Sakala Pumsam Krishnastu Bhagavan Sayam Indriyari Vyakulam Lokam Ridyante Yuge Yuge Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranasanam Pranama Dukha Samanastam Namami Harim Param Nigama Kalpa Tarori Kalitam Palam Sukamakadam Rita Divasam Mutam Bibata Bhagatam Rasamalayam Muhuro Rasika Bhuvi Bhavukaha. Hare Krishna. So, English class, English. Okay, Bhagavatam. Okay, the book. Where is the book? So, reading from the 5th canto. Which chapter? Chapter 13. And text number? 10. Okay. 5, 13, 10. So the verse is written here, or the verse is written on the board? No. The board is not there. Okay. Okay. Everyone has cell phone? Otherwise, we can keep it simple and we just, now we should have the, if you can see. You got it, or? Otherwise, I will read it just one time and then we can do the word by word. Karin smachit kshudra rasan vichinvams tanmakshika bhirvyatito vimanaha tatratrikritsrat parilabdamano baladvipum pantatatam natonyem. Fine. You have the verse, you got it, or you have? Karisma chik shudra rasan vichinvams tanmakshika bhiryatito vimanaha tatratrikritsrat pratilabdamano baladvipam pantyatato tam natonyem. Karisma chik shudra rasan vichinvams tanmakshika bhiryatito vimanaha tatratrikritsrat pratilabdamano balad vilumpantyatam tatonyem. Okay, the ladies can chant. Karhisma chik shudra rasan vichinvams tanmakshika bhiryatito vimanaha tatratrikritsrat patilabdamano Balad vilupantyatatam natonye. Anyone else? Karhi smachit kshudra rasan vichinvams tanmakshika bhiryatito vimanaha tatrati krichrat patilabdamano balad vilupantyatatam natonye. Karhi smachit kshudra rasan vichinvams tanmakshika bhiryatito vimanaha takrichitat patilabdamano balad vilupantyatatam natonye. Karhi smachit. Sometimes kshudra, very insignificant. Rasan, sexual enjoyment. Vichinvan, searching for. Tat, of those women. Makshikabhihi, by honeybees, or the husbands of family members. Vyatitaha, very much aggrieved. Vimana, insulted. Tatra, in that. Ati, very much. Krichrat, with difficulty because of spending money. Pratilabdamanaha, obtaining sexual enjoyment. Balat, by force. Vilumpanti, kidnapped. Ataha, thereafter. Tam, the object of sense enjoyment. The woman. Tata, from him. Anye, another debauchee. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Sometimes in order to have a little insignificant sex enjoyment, one searches after debauched woman. In this attempt, one is insulted and chastised by the woman's kinsman. This is like going to take honey from a beehive and being attacked by the bees. Sometimes after spending lots of money, one may acquire another woman for some extra sense enjoyment. Unfortunately, the object of sense enjoyment, the woman is taken away or kidnapped by another debauchee. Purport. In a great forest, honeycombs are very important. People often go there to collect honey from the combs, and sometimes the bees attack and punish them. In human society, those who are not Krishna conscious remain in the forest of material life simply for the honey of sex life. Such debauchees are not at all satisfied with one wife. They want many women. Day after day, with great difficulty, they try to secure such women, and sometimes while trying to taste this kind of honey, one is attacked by a woman's kinsman and chastised very heavily. By bribing others, one may secure another woman for enjoyment. Yet another debauchee may kidnap her or offer her something better. This woman hunting is going on in the forest of the material world, sometimes legally and sometimes illegally. Consequently, in this Krishna consciousness movement, the devotees are forbidden to have illicit sex. Thus they avoid so many difficulties. One should remain satisfied with one woman being duly married. One can satisfy one's lusty desires with his wife without creating disturbances in society and being punished for doing so. So here, the great sage Jarvarat speaking to King Rahugan. So, and here he is speaking about household life. And also about the main attraction in this material world. That is attraction between men and women. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, this material world is based on this sex life, on the attraction between man and woman. Of course, then, in order to enjoy in this material world, one must secure some money. One must have some place to stay. One has to have some occupation, some work, and then one may have some money, and therefore so much work is going on in this world, and people are constantly busy in this material world. So the three modes of material nature are there: Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. Those in the mode of goodness, so that is the if one is in the mode of goodness, the possibility is there to become enlightened. And those in the mode of goodness, so they are engaged in pious activities, they are engaged in pursuit of spiritual knowledge in human society. And so they try to find out the purpose of life, the goal of life. Of course, different persons in the mode of goodness are there. And then the mode of passion is there, and they're engaged in sense gratification. They want to enjoy in this material world. And for this, they're working very hard. And in the mode of goodness, it is mentioned also in the Bhagavad Gita, they don't know what to do exactly. What is proper, what is improper. And then they are lazy also, they're engaged in sinful activities. And so in this way, ultimately, they become more and more degraded. It is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, if one is in the mode of goodness, one may go to the higher planets. If one is in the mode of passion, he may stay on this realm, the earthly planets. If one is in the mode of ignorance, one may go to the animal kingdom or to the hellish planets, if one is very sinful. So, but we should try to be in the mode of goodness, which of course is not so easy. But one has to try, because the mode of passion, mode of ignorance will be there throughout the day. Morning is the time of the mode of goodness, early morning, and then, so, therefore the saintly persons, they will get up early in the morning, before sunrise, 1.5 or 2 hours before. That is then known as Brahma Muhurta. Muhurt means a period of 24 minutes. So Brahma Muhurta is there. So, which I believe is, I can't remember now, maybe 2 times or 4 times. 24 minutes. So calculation is there in the scriptures. And so, but the time before sunrise, that is auspicious for meditation, for performing spiritual activities. Therefore, the intelligent persons, they will get up early. And therefore, Prabhupada is established to get up early. And then to take a bath, put on fresh clothes, and then attend Mangalatik. And then chant the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then one can engage in various activities throughout the day. And one can make spiritual advancement, because the aim of life is self-realization. If one has the human form of life, and it is only possible in the human form of life. So, Atato Brahma Jigyasa, it is mentioned in Vedic scriptures. Now it is a time to inquire about the absolute truth. So in the human form of life. And for the purpose of self-realization, realizing that we are not this body but spirit soul. And for this one should get up early and one should engage in spiritual activities. So those in the mode of goodness, they will understand and will do. And then after, so sunrise and a little later, then the mode of passion is coming. And everyone is performing some activity during the day, mainly also to earn money. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. But the intelligent persons, they know that we have to perform some religious activity. We have to follow religion, Dharma. And then by doing that, we will get some result, Artha, by working with Krishna in the center. And then Dhamma, Artha, Kama, then we may have some sense enjoyment. But then at one point we should give up everything, moksha, and try to be liberated. So for this Varna ashram is there, because actually to be completely absorbed in spiritual activities is not difficult. It's not easy, it's difficult actually. So therefore, gradual process is there. So to remain single the whole life is not easy. As Prabhupada used to say, man needs a woman and a woman needs a man. But then Krishna should be in the center. And one should do everything for Krishna's pleasure. But the majority of the people, so they are not aware. They are not interested in spiritual life, but they want sense enjoyment. And so the greatest sense enjoyment that is mentioned also in the scriptures, that is a sex life. So-called greatest enjoyment for the normal people. All at the same time, so then usually there's some distress also in the mode of passion. So that is explained. So, but better as explained here by Prabhupada in the purport, that one should try to enter the Grihastha ashram, one should try to be married. So, especially women, they should be married. Men, mostly they need to get married also. But those who are Brahmanically inclined, for them there's a chance to remain single and to be brahmachari, and maybe later to take sannyas. But that is very rare. That is the minority who are Brahmanically inclined and who can simply be engaged in the spiritual pursuit. And by nature the women, so they need some facility. They like to have a place to stay, a house, griha. And then it is natural for women to want to have some children. So for that they have to be married, and then they may have children, and then nice clothes and some nice jewelry. That is natural for women. Stri, and then she's expanding. So the man, they may not have so much desire to have so many things, but at the same time the men usually, they are attached to the opposite sex and they want to enjoy. Therefore, as mentioned here, sometimes they're not satisfied with one woman, and therefore they will try to have one relationship after another relationship. And we can see nowadays especially, they're not even interested in married life many times, in married life. But that is actually not proper. And that actually is sinful. One should engage in sex life only after being married. And that also restricted, preferably to produce children. But of course some enjoyment is there, that is natural. But it should be restricted, and one should try to keep it to a minimum. Chanakya Pandit, a great sage, a scholar from India, Prabhupada quoted him many times. He said many things, but one is that he was saying, with three things we should never be satisfied, never think we have done enough. One is japa. We should never think I have done enough japa. 16 rounds, that's enough. Prabhupada, he used to say at the time of initiation, so how many rounds you chant? They used to say 16, and Prabhupada said, minimum 16. Minimum 16 means we should chant more. And so Prabhupada in the beginning he told them to chant 16, but at one point he told them to chant 64, because Mahaprabhu told some of his followers and Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada also. But then they said, they tried a few days, but then they said this is too difficult, Prabhupada, to chant 64 rounds. It takes us 8 hours, and then to do seva, 8 hours not possible. We have to eat and sleep also. So I said, okay, 32. And they did a few days, and then again, Prabhupada, not possible, so many rounds. Then Prabhupada said, 16, but not less. So, and he also japa, so we should try to chant as much as possible. Of course, in the beginning it is difficult if one does not have any taste. The mind is going here and there, but we have to force ourselves a little bit. But if one has a taste for Krishna Nam Ruchi, then 16 is nothing. He would automatically chant more. And so therefore, Chanakya Pandit said, with japa we should never think it is enough. We should try to chant more and more. And then second, svadhyay, study of the scriptures. So we should study, actually on a daily basis. And therefore Prabhupada said, morning Bhagavatam, evening Gita, and then during the day reading 1 hour if possible. At least 1 hour he used to say also, at least. Because many times it is not possible, but we should make it a point of reading every day. So but we should never think I read enough. So, like the Bhagavatam, so we should go through the whole, first Bhagavad Gita, then Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So did you read the Bhagavad Gita, the full Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavatam? Not yet. In the process, okay. You? Okay, you listen to the whole, the full.
I was taking the ship to America.
Oh, okay.
Container ship. I listened there.
Okay, the whole thing. 1 time, 2 times?
1 time.
1 time, okay. Mostly devotees 1 time, that's enough. Okay, I've done it. Somehow, yeah. But I was so eager to read in the beginning. Still I'm reading. But at the same time, I read the Bhagavatam 6 times in English and 2 times in Hindi. But now it's okay, that's enough. Now I try, because at one point I thought, I'm studying all this time, and it has to be in my head now. And then I chanted more, and now, because 16 is the minimum, right? And Prabhupada said, double it, double the book distribution, double the seva, so double the chanting, at least 32, sometimes more. Double 32, 64 on some days, like Ekadashi, Purnima, and so. And then actually, if you have read enough, heard enough, of course it's never enough, as we said, but still at a certain point, if you then get Nam Ruchi, then you can remember what you've read. And then you can remember Krishna. And then we don't have to read so much. But still, even though, like Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, so he was saying one time, if I had to go somewhere in emergency, I can only take a few things with me. One thing I would take with me, 1 book, Chaitanya Charitamrita. And even it is mentioned, of course he's a pure devotee and he was seeing Gaur Lila and Krishna Lila, but still, then we may not always remember all the details, and therefore it's good to read it again and again. I read the Chaitanya Charitamrita 12 times, the CC. 12 times in English, 2 times in Hindi, 1 time in Bengali. That's my favorite book. And because everything is there in Mahaprabhu. If you speak about Mahaprabhu, think about Mahaprabhu, read about Mahaprabhu, you hear about Krishna. Because Mahaprabhu is always thinking about Krishna, speaking about Krishna. He wants to hear about Krishna. So that you can see when you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, then no need to read any other book. But still, we read other books also, and Prabhupada said that we should read. Of course, first we have to read all of Prabhupada's books and the purports nicely, and then you may read other books also. Like Prabhupada said that anyone who wants to know about Bhagavan, Bhakti and the Bhakta, he must read Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So anyone read it? Okay, one, yeah. So we're following Prabhupada, right? And then there's one beautiful song. Gauranga bolite habe pulaka sharira. Hari Hari bolite nayane babenira. So very beautiful song and glorification of Mahaprabhu. Gauranga bolite habe. So by speaking about Gauranga, Pulaka Sharira, the Sharira, the body, Pulaka, the hairs on the body will stand on end. So therefore some devotees like Giant Pataka Maharaj is saying, Gauranga, Gauranga. And then ecstatic symptoms are coming. One of them is the hair standing on end. So if one is a little advanced, then it will come. So of course, even in the material world, sometimes it happens, people are crying, or the hair standing on end. I was playing football. And sometimes by scoring, then the hairs are standing on end. And crying also. Winning the game, we won the game. But Krishna is not in the center, so it is material. But all the things which are there in material world are there in the spiritual world when in perfect form. And the happiness in this world is limited. It's not so much, but still some happiness is there. So we have experience. But yes, but then, of course, we actually, not that we want to feel ecstasy, I have to feel ecstasy. But the thing is, we should try to serve Krishna and try to give pleasure to Krishna. Just like in Dwarka one time, Krishna's chariot driver, his name is Daruka. So it's not all, Krishna is not always going here and there. Sometimes he's going there. And for this he has a chariot because he's the king of the kings, the emperor. In Dwarka he was. So, and he is, yes. And so then he has a chariot and he has a chariot driver. But you see Krishna's humility. And so he's the Supreme Lord, but then he becomes the chariot driver of Arjuna, Parthasarathi. Krishna is so humble, the Supreme Lord. But anyhow, so he's there in Dwarka, and Daruka is the chariot driver. So because Krishna is not always going here and there, so he needs some more seva. So sometimes he's fanning Krishna, like the pujari is fanning the deities with the chamara. So he was fanning the chamara and he was seeing Krishna. Oh, Krishna is so beautiful. And tears were coming from his eyes. And he started to feel ecstatic symptoms. Like his body was shaking because of ecstasy and tears coming from the eyes. And then he was controlling himself. No, no, no. I have to serve Krishna. I don't want these ecstatic symptoms. I have to serve Krishna. Because sometimes if you are too much in ecstasy, then you fall on the ground. You cannot do anything. So therefore he controlled the ecstasy. And even Prabhupada, many times he was chanting, a few times, Jaya Radha Madhava. And then tears were coming from the eyes. So much so that a few times he had to stop. And he was telling his disciples, I cannot speak more. I didn't even start and he said, I cannot speak. So, due to ecstasy, sometimes it is difficult to control. One time Prabhupada was in New York. And so I was in New York also for a visit. Supposed to go there for 1 month. When I was here in Zurich, when was it, 83, 84. Then, yeah. Jai Gonitai, Jai Jagannath Baladev Subara. Then I wanted to go for 1 month to New York for some reasons, and then I was there, but they kept me there for 3 years, so because I was speaking Hindi already. Anyhow, so yeah, so So the point was that, so Daruka, he was controlling the ecstasy, so we have to control sometimes. So Prabhupada, so he was in New York, and so then he came from somewhere, he came to the temple, and then he went so to take darshan, and there was one Mataji there. So, and then when they opened the curtain, so she saw, and then from Prabhupada's eyes, the tears were coming like torrents of rains. And she was 1 meter away, and some of the tears, they came on her sari. So, but of course that is only possible for Mahaprabhu and his pure devotees. And so the point is also, yes, so we should not try to, of course it is nice to feel ecstatic, and we want to be ecstatic, that is natural. And if it is coming, it's fine, but it should not obstruct our seva. And not that then we become ecstatic and then we want to show others, look, I'm becoming ecstatic, see? Tears are coming from my eyes. No. They don't want to show the pure devotees. And so, but one should always be ready to serve. And so, and then some transcendental happiness will be there. But in this material world, so the happiness which is there, it is very temporary and very insignificant in comparison to transcendental happiness. But of course, to come to the transcendental plane and to feel transcendental happiness, so it will take some time. So therefore we have to be tolerant, and we have to tolerate our situation, and we have to be patient. And we should know that eventually we will feel transcendental pleasure. And then when we are attracted to Krishna, then we can give up this attraction to this material world, which is very difficult to give up. Even many years one may be practicing, but still one may not be able to be fully attracted to Krishna or attached to Krishna and detached from this material world. It takes time. So therefore Prabhupada wanted to introduce Varnasrama, so that one is engaged according to one's psychophysical nature, so man or woman, so one has to, and usually women should be married, and most of the men also need to get married. Very few can remain brahmachari, like Krishna Prema Rupa, and a few are there, but rare. So, and they are fortunate. But of course, because Krishna is perfect, and by Krishna's arrangement, actually, the Varnasrama is manifested, and the universal form is there. Brahmano samakamasid bahura janya krita urutadasya yadvaisyaha padbhagum sudra jayataha. This is the famous Purusha Sukta. So it is mentioned, the universal form. It is a kind of imaginary, of course, because everything is included in the Supreme Lord. Virat Rup, Vishwarup, which sometimes is seen by, even Arjuna saw the Vishwarup. Even Duryodhana had a glimpse of the Vishwarup, but he couldn't still understand that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. But when Arjuna saw, he was really amazed to see this. Sasrashesha Purusha Sasraksha Sahasrapad Sabhumim Vishvato Vritva Attatishta Dashangulam. Sahasrashesha Purushaha. The Purush, the Supreme Lord, has thousands of heads. Shesha, Sahasra Shesha. And therefore thousands of Sahasraksha, thousands of eyes, thousands of arms, thousands of legs and feet. Sabhum Vishvadovaritva Attatishta Dasangulam. So that is universal form. But then is mentioned about the Paramatma, the super soul, Dash Angul, 10 fingers. 10 fingers, that is the size of Paramatma. Of course it is varying also. Sometimes it is mentioned also like the thumb. So different descriptions. Because if one has a big body, like on Sunday I saw one devotee who was really tall. I asked him, Wow, you really tall. What's your height? 205. I'm 182. So 20 centimeters or so. And some people are more small. And so if the child is there, then so the Paramatma is accordingly also. Well, in the elephant's body, sometimes a little bigger and smaller. And Vishnu is, Paramatma is all pervading. So he saw the universal form and he understood Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He knew already, but because of his intimate relationship, as a friend, so therefore he was not always aware, and therefore he was saying also, I'm sorry that I was sometimes joking with you, sitting on the same place as you, and eating together with you, and lying on the same bed and relaxing together. But actually you're the Supreme Lord and I'm your servant, I'm insignificant. And therefore then he was praying, let me see the forearm form. Because Krishna sometimes in Dwarka has 4 arms, Dwarkadish. But mostly is there in 2-arm form. And then finally he wanted to see the 2-arm form also, which is most beautiful in Dwarka. But even more beautiful than Dwarka is Krishna in Braj. So actually if Krishna is in the center, then one is properly situated. So according to Varnasrama. And then it doesn't mean that if one is a grihasta, that one cannot advance. Of course, sometimes Prabhupada said, because many times it is a little difficult, because both the responsibilities and the environment and the family members are there, you have to deal with them. Like on Sunday, my sister came. So and then her friend and my sister's daughter, my niece, and so I had to spend time with them. And it's a kind of, okay, but my sister has some kind of attraction for spiritual life, and she was in India, she became a yoga teacher, but then still, talking about Krishna, or she chants a little bit Hare Krishna, but like she doesn't have a bead bag and she's not chanting japa. Then sometimes a little difficult, and then, okay, come to our house, her daughter was saying, and then we'll give you some tea and some cake. But I was thinking, okay, let's see, but then, they're not offering the cake, right? So how we can eat? And we know we won't eat. But then sometimes it becomes a little difficult, and so we have to see. So if you're a householder, then it's sometimes a little difficult, and then you have to deal with other people, and the children are playing, and then sometimes there is a fight with the children, and you have to sort out the problem, and maybe the other parents, they are not devotees, and then sometimes it becomes difficult. But if Krishna is in the center, then Krishna will help. And Krishna is very merciful to the householders also. Brahmacharis, they have to be more strict, who are in the ashram and everything nicely. But then Krishna is expecting also more from them, that they are strict. Like be punctual for Mangalarti and do the seva on time. Prabhupada in Vrindavan, one time he was there. He was looking at the watch. I was not head pujari at that time. I came later. And he looked at the watch, 7:15, 7:16. Yes, Swiss watch. Swiss watch he had. 7:16. Where is the pujari? Head pujari, 7:16. Head pujari, yes, Prabhupada, you are late. 1.5 minutes late. Okay, Prabhupada will just open. And so still it took 1 minute more, and then he opened, and so Prabhupada chastised him heavily. You have to be on time. Because Prabhupada, he was in the West, he was in Switzerland also, and he saw how they are punctual. So he knew I have to be punctual in the West. And so he wanted to do that also to his disciples. But then the next time the head pujari, he was really trying hard and he was on time. And then Prabhupada was satisfied. But otherwise in other temples in India, in Vrindavan also, when is darshan? Yeah, around 12:15, no problem. But Prabhupada wanted us to be on time. Cleanliness and punctuality, 2 things are important, Prabhupada said in deity worship. Everything must be clean, the consciousness, the place. So that is expected, and so But then for householders also, there Krishna is more lenient because they know that sometimes they're busy, especially in India. Then, you have to go to a marriage ceremony, and marriage ceremony is usually at night time, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then up till 12 o'clock. Ratri Bela, night time. But we as Vaishnavas, mostly we do it during the day, or evening time, Goduli. So, Goduli Samay, that is sunset time. So therefore then Krishna understands this also. And so he's a little more lenient to the householders. But still, we have to follow rules and regulations. But so Krishna is merciful, and then he will help also everyone. Krishna is trying to help everyone. And so then everyone can advance. Even if one is a householder, one can advance. And it is a kind of protection, because many times, especially in India also, many devotees come to the temple from poor villages and brahmacharis. But actually by nature they are not really brahmacharis. And they stay in the temple and they want to get married, but they cannot, because they know we have to earn money. And they left the family and they have seen some opulence in ISKCON, then they want to stay. But then almost by force, by default, they are brahmacharis. But then anyhow, some they manage. But genuine brahmacharis are there, but not so many. And then therefore many times some they have difficulty, and then anyhow they have to get married somehow. So therefore the institution is there of Varnasrama. We engage in devotional service, and that is most important, to chant the holy names, to serve the deities, hear Bhagavatam, associate with the devotees in the holy dham or in the temple. But then we should be also according to Varna ashram, and then we can be protected. So for the householders or for the common man, so he needs a woman. And so therefore he should get married, and then he should be satisfied with one wife. And he should have a good relationship. So one has to be humble, tolerant, and respectful always for everyone. Otherwise, things will not work out. Even in ISKCON, actually, there's a high divorce rate, because many are actually various reasons. One is because they are not mature enough, not humble enough, and respectful enough, and then the ego is there. So we have to control and be humble, tolerant, and respectful. Then even if one of the two in the household ashram is humble, then married life will go on. If two are humble, then everything is fine. If one of our humble is okay. But both of them are not humble, then divorce. Very simple. Another problem is why it is not working out many times, because there's no Varnashram. And like previously, and they're just living together, husband and wife. And of course, then maybe they go to the temple sometimes, otherwise they're working and they're at home, and not so much association, and no support. But previously, Grihastha ashram means the girl will go to the man's family. And it means the parents are there. And then together they serve Krishna. And then, for example, the wife is sick. And then the mother of the husband will take care of the cooking and things like this. Joint family has advantages. And but then, because joint family is not there many times, there's no support. And then there's a difficulty there. And then they fight for small things. And the wife is not feeling well, and she cannot do the work, and the husband then is irritated also because he has to work, he's coming back, and then difficulties are there. Because Maya is very strong and creating also difficulties. Maya is keeping all the jivas in the material world. And the two names are there, Sanskrit also, I forgot. One is the covering potency, covering all the jivas who are anyway already full in Maya. And she's keeping them in Maya. And then she's pulling those down who are trying to get out of Maya. like the brahmacharis or whatever, and even grihastas, and they try to advance, but then Maya is just tricking them. So sometimes there's difficulty there, but so therefore one has to be careful always. But so for the majority of the conditioned souls, it is better to get married and then to be protected, but we should be in the association of the other devotees, the family, and other proper guidance. Then one can go properly through the Grihastha ashram. And then these things as here will be avoided, that looking for an older woman or so. But even sometimes it is happening also about, even in our society we have seen, especially in India also, cases are there. I mean, even here, I was here in the early days of, so, well, I joined in India, but then my health was not so good. I came here and I saw many devotees, they got married. I came back after 3 years. And I see, well, this person was married to that lady. And then after 3 years, that lady got married to another Prabhu, who also had another wife before. And they divorced and they got married to each other and like this, and the kind of ketchery going on. So like, but now I guess it's maybe more stable. Many they just left outside, but so. It's not ideal, but what to do? Sometimes it happens. But therefore, usually also, even for choosing the partner, so one should consult, and usually the parents, they were seeing for a suitable husband or a suitable wife for the children. So they will see, the elders will see, and then they consult astrology also, because if you are not experienced, then you may not see. And then you will find out from the family, what kind of family, what is the background, is it compatible according to psychophysical nature. And then even astrology can help, because you can see from the stars the nature of a person and what is there, what will be there in the future. And then you can match. So astrology is also helpful. But we don't depend on astrology either, we depend on Krishna. But we use, it is a kind of voice. And even it is mentioned in the scriptures, for example, Anulom and Vilom marriage. Or Anulom or Pratilom. So like Anukul, Pratikul, favorable. Anukul Seva, serving Krishna favorably. And it is unfavorable, Pratikul. So marriage which is Anukul, favorable. So usually those who are Brahmanically inclined, the man, they will marry those who are Brahmanically inclined of the women. And those who have Kshatriya nature, they will marry each other. Those Vaishya nature, they marry each other. And those Shudra nature, they marry each other. So they would have seen previously, even now in India, they will see that. And then, but sometimes it is, well, not possible, or sometimes there's some attraction there, and then they will consider. And so what is Anulam, for example, so the Brahmana, so if there is no Brahmana girl there to marry, then he may marry also Kshatriyani. That is possible. And because actually the man usually should be a little superior than the woman, because by nature it should be like this, and the woman should follow the husband. He should be a little elder, and maybe he should be a little taller, or maybe same. Not that the woman is big and the man is small. That is pratilom. And the man should be a little elder. If the lady is elder, the woman is elder, that is also pratulom. It is not anulom. So he should be superior. So he may marry a Kshatriyani, but not from a Vaishya family and never from a Shudra family. So that is seen. But if a Kshatriya is there, he wants to marry a Brahmani, so that is known pratilom, because then she's superior. That should not be seen. So usually in India, still now they're seeing this, and as a devotee we may also see. So therefore we take the help of the experienced devotee. And so usually then the parents, experienced devotees were there to help. And Shastra and Jyoti Shastra. And then there's greater possibility that they will stay together. But then, again, they have to have the humility, the tolerance, and respect. So Krishna has to be in the center. If Krishna is in the center, then it will work out. No problem. And then one can advance nicely. Like most of Mahaprabhu's associates, they were grihastas. And Krishna is a householder, right? Mahaprabhu was householder. So, and many great sages were there. They were householders. And actually, mostly previously, in the Gurukul, the Guru was a householder. And he was taking care of the students, especially because they are young. And then a wife was there, and, the crying little boy, 5 years old. the wife was taking care. In the beginning, a little bit, helping a little bit. So, but then when they're bigger, then the husband is taking care. And also not for that only, so but then because, so they will learn also that woman has to be respected. So the Guru's wife is Guru Mata. 7 kinds of mothers are there. So the wife of the Guru, the wife of the king. Of course, the real wife is the 7 mothers. The wife of the Guru, the wife of the king. The real mother is there. A nurse is there helping at the time of delivery. And then also Mother Earth is there. And the cow is also considered a mother because she's giving milk, which is required. So then, if the family life is there, the family is there, then you will see, and interaction is there. So, and so Krishna has given the perfect system, Varna Ashram. And if we follow properly, then we can advance, and the whole society can advance. And then everyone will be protected. If Varna Ashram is there, everyone has to follow the rules and regulations of the different ashrams and the different varnas. So brahmachari and sannyasi ashram. So different rules. Of course, time, place, circumstances sometimes is there. And even nowadays, sometimes sannyasis are preaching and to the ladies also. But it's dangerous. And we have seen in our society. And then some sannyasis, then they fall down. It has happened, it is still happening, and it will still happen. Unless they are protected, and therefore usually previously, like in Varnashram, in a community, the Brahmanas are staying together, the Kshatriyas are staying together, the Vaishyas are staying together, basically, and the Shudras. Even in some places, like 2 years ago, I went to one Himalayan village, because one devotee staying there, they invited me. And I was still seeing one part the Brahmanas were living, another part the Kshatriyas. I didn't know that. When I came there, they didn't tell me. And then I was going to one part, which is a committee of the Kshatriyas. I was there chanting the holy names with my devotional cloth, and somehow they don't see many devotees there. And then one, Kshatri kind of person, what are you doing here? I'm chanting Hare Krishna. I'm worshipping Krishna. And he was very skeptical and very forceful. Show me your passport, your paper. Maybe you're some agent. He was thinking, maybe some CIA agent, CIA. In the beginning, when devotees were there, many Indians, they thought we are CIA agents from America, Central Investigation Agency. What is their name? I forgot now. CIA. Central Intelligence Agency. And FBI is Federal Bureau of Investigation. So he was a kind of, suspecting. And he was very forceful, but then somehow I told him, well, I'm just chanting the holy names. You don't know about religion. You don't know about the Supreme Lord. And I had to speak to him. And I preached to him. And then some other people came also. And they understood I'm a devotee and Brahmanically inclined. And then he said, okay, they let me go. But then, then the other day I didn't go that side. I went the other side. And then I found out these old brahmanas there. And it was nicer. Then I come to our house, and take some prasad. So the brahmanas are more intelligent and they can recognize others also. Immediately saw he's a brahmana. Tilak and chanting. So, and then, so Kshatriya one place, Brahmanas one place, another place the Vaishyas are there and Shudras. I went one time another place and I saw these are kind of Shudra people and they're also like looking, what is this person doing there? So better to not go there. So mostly I was going where the Brahmanas are living, doing my japa walk, because I like to do japa walk every day. So it is still there in some villages. So, and even in our society actually, of course, it should be done ultimately. But there is still a little bit lacking. But we hope that eventually it will also be established. Of course, by actually, if you see, because as everywhere in the world, you can see the actually Brahmanas and those who are Brahmanically inclined and those who are like Kshatriyas. So, but if it is recognized and everyone is properly engaged, then there will be less difficulties, as mentioned here. That man after this woman, that woman. But one has to have strong sadhana and one has to be in good association and then one has to pray also. Prayer has to be there. One time Prabhupada was in front of the deities in Vrindavan and tears were coming from the eyes. Of course, as I explained before, sometimes due to ecstasy, tears are coming. Sometimes due to feeling of separation, tears are coming. Sometimes due to helplessness. I'm helpless. I'm insignificant. Krishna, please protect me. So he had taken darshan and then some tears were coming and he was praying to the deities. And after, when Prabhupada left and one disciple was asking, Prabhupada, why you were crying? He was saying, because Maya is so strong. So I'm praying to Krishna to protect me. Of course, a pure devotee will never fall and nitya siddha. But he can feel Maya also. He can see Maya, he can feel Maya. Because material energy is there and the surroundings are there. And then therefore he's praying also. Because he's not Bhagavan, who will never fall down, Achyuta. But usually he's also not falling down, unless it is the Lord's will. But for the purpose of the pastime, like Haridas Thakur is an associate, but then some slight discrepancy was there. And even Prabhupada, when he was young, so it was time to get married, and then he was attracted to one beautiful girl, and he wanted to marry her. Prabhupada said, no, this girl is too beautiful. You'll become attached to her, you'll be Maya. So he got her married to he got another girl, which was not so beautiful, but she was okay. And so then anyhow, so then he had children and yeah. But only one child was really a devotee, the last one, Vrindavan Das. He just passed away maybe 2 years ago. I met him also in Vrindavan, he came one time. Nice devotee, Vrindavan Das. But the others are well. One of them, the eldest one, he was making a court case against Prabhupada. He wanted to take some money from ISKCON. I mean, after Prabhupada left in Mumbai. So anyhow, so then also Prabhupada's wife then. So she was okay. She was initiated by one of Prabhupada's godbrother. And Prabhupada invited sannyasis sometimes. Sridhar Maharaj was staying with him quite from some time. And she was helping a little bit, but not as much as Prabhupada wanted. So one time he was thinking, maybe it's time for me to take sannyas. And he'd make a joke. He was telling his disciples. He told his wife, now you have to choose, because she was drinking tea, the black tea. Like in India, many people, everyone almost, who is not devotee is drinking tea, the black tea, which the English people introduced. Now all over India, they're drinking tea. Assam is a place they live on that, which is next to Bengal, Bangladesh. So she was drinking tea, which usually we don't drink tea, right? Except the herbal tea. But the black tea we don't take. But she was taking anyway. Not big issue. But then one time he told her, either tea or me. You have to choose. You have to give up the tea or I will leave. Tea or me? And she said, I'll take the tea. And he left. So he was joking in this way. And then he left also, of course, and took sannyas. Anyhow, so the thing is that so one has to be protected, and Varnashram is there, and by Prabhupada's mercy, so he wanted to introduce that, and it is there all over the world, which it is just not recognized. And so it is there in our society also, but it is also not fully recognized and not instituted, and no arrangements are made so that everyone is properly situated, and therefore there are more problems. But anyhow, eventually things may improve. But difficulties are always there in the material world. That is unavoidable. Anyhow, it's 8:45. I should stop here because it's time for Prasad and I have to go also. Maybe one question, or you have a question? Yeah. Uh-huh. The woman is fire. Yes. Yes, right. Yeah, yeah. Yes, that is right. What is it?
They won't be chaste. The women won't be chaste. If men die, and because women are not protected, they're not so chaste already.
Well, I mean, you see, the thing is that it is a matter of education, it is a matter of protection. If the woman is protected first by the parents and is educated, then she will be chaste. That is natural. Therefore, she always has to be protected. And then, so first by the parents, by the father, and then by the husband. And then when the husband dies, then by the son, she should be protected. Because the thing is, that the women by nature, not that they are not chaste, but they have a greater enjoying spirit than the man. So it is mentioned also in the scriptures that maybe 3 times more last year, I can't remember what it is mentioned, 6 times more, or 9 times more, and 6 times more envious, or something like this. So more than the man, by nature. So it is there. And so therefore they have to be protected by the man, by the father, the husband, and then the son. And then usually therefore the joint family is there, that the women are together and the men are together. Even in joint family, so the men are more together and the women are more together. Because even there you have to be careful always. Because even it is mentioned Bhagavatam that one should not sit even on the same seat as one's mother, sister and daughter. Because the sex urge may be so strong that one may be attracted to one's own mother, which is usually not happening. One's own sister or daughter. So one has to be careful. And so, because yes, it is mentioned, man and woman, then man will melt, and then he want to enjoy. So it's melting, the butter is melting, but then, if you have a lot of butter you put in the fire, then the fire, of course, is growing nicely, unless you put so much ghee inside and it goes out. But anyhow, but if the man is then melting, so like butter, and then if they're not married together, then there's some difficulty there. And there's also mentioned that the man, then if he's agitated, is like a strong river, and the woman is like a tree at the bank of the river, then she will be just knocked over. That's all. That's how it is. Because the man is more strong. The fire is more strong than butter, and the man is melting. But then the man, if it is a lot of butter, is like a river, and then is overcoming the fire, is then what the fire can do. And like what the tree can do on the bank of the river. And then the man is, because the man is more powerful, and then, then he's enjoying. Of course, then the women usually, they also will enjoy. Even sometimes it is said when the woman is raped, many times she's enjoying also. If she's anyhow not chaste. But if she doesn't want, then it's actually rape, and that is not nice. That is sinful. And anyway, the point is that one has to be careful. Therefore, even, for example, the women, usually in India, they will never go out at night, or the parents, or even the husband will never allow that the women at night will go out alone. Because if she's going out alone and the man is there and nobody is around, then every chance is there that Haribol, not Haribol, he will not say Haribol, but something will happen. And it's happening a lot in India. So even sometimes in daylight, I mean, India is the greatest, but is the best culture, and the great devotees are there. At the same time, sometimes it's very degraded, and you hear and see things which is unbelievable, even in Vrindavan. So that is there. So men and women. Prabhupada said brahmacharis are nice and the girls are nice, separate, but together bad. Women good, men are good, but together bad. Of course, if you're in household ashram, and then there's family planning. The samskars are there, purificatory rites. Garbhadan samskar, that is a purification. So to produce a child, for this they will choose a day according to the menstrual period of the woman and according to astrology. And then they come together, and Prabhupada said they should chant 50 rounds. And then they may engage in sex life. And of course it is a preparation before already, praying and then trying to have a good sadhana, and then when they come together, then that may attract a great soul. So that is family planning. It should not happen by accident. Of course, sometimes it happens by accident. They come together and the woman becomes pregnant, but that should be avoided. It should be planning, family planning. And so, and time, place, circumstances, we have to see. Previously, they had always many children in the families, but then there was joint family. Nowadays, no joint family, is better to have less. Even in India, they have family planning. So when I was starting reading Hindi, I saw in the early days, पहले बच्चे अभी नहीं, दूसरे बच्चे जल्दी नहीं, तीसरा बच्चा कभी नहीं. That is Hindi. Anyone knows Hindi? No? So the first child should not be immediately. After some time, you have a child, and then the second child also not so quickly, and the third child should never be there. So they want 2 children, boy and girl. Usually they want a boy in India, but the girl is then. If you have a boy, then they're happy. Everyone is happy to continue the family lineage. Our family should continue, and then the girl is there then. But for devotees, so anyone, boy or girl, is fine. But should be devoted. So for this we have to be ourselves devoted, and then good children will be there, mostly, but not always. So we have to depend on Krishna. But usually if we are, one is a good couple is there, they will have a good child. Okay, we should stop here. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Mukunda Datta Prabhu ki jai.
Вот такие вещи происходят с ритмом.
Vorher hat sie ja schon nicht viel Geld gehabt, um einen Kühlraum zu haben, als Großes Bank.